Stream Like a Boss TV series. We go live each and every week from Get Noticed with Video. That's where my home is online, getnoticedwithvideo.com. We go live each and every week helping you as service providers, that's coaches, consultants, course creators, really get clear on how to use more on-camera content. That's video to help you to stand out online, video to help you to serve more people, and also to sell more of your services. So I'm really excited that I get to be here every Thursday. I am going a little bit late tonight, but I did make announcements and let everyone know I'd be about a half hour late. We're going to talk tonight about setting the stage. So that is the focus. You'll see set the stage for live stream video is the focus for this evening. And I'm really going to talk to you on a couple of different levels about this quest, right? If you have been struggling to be consistent with your video, if you've been struggling, you've been thinking, you know what, I really need to do more to get on camera and to be consistent with my live stream video or even pre-recorded videos that you're using in the live feed. Even if you're doing that, it can be a struggle. And the consistency issue is real. But it does matter if you're trying to get visibility and if you're trying to grow your audience. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about how to set the stage because there are a couple of different things. First, I'm going to give you some practical advice, but then I'm also going to give you a little spiritual advice. If you can hang in there with me, I want to share my own personal story of spaces and creating sacred spaces so that you can get more done. So that's what we're going to focus on this evening. I'm going to say hello and welcome my folks from my community over in the Stream Like a Boss community on Facebook. Thank you, as always, for joining me and for being a part of my own online family. I appreciate you being here. And I'm going to acknowledge you personally in just a second. But first, I want to go ahead and share my quick intro video and give people a little bit of time to come on in to the studio with me. All right, I'll see you right back here, and we're going to talk about setting the stage. And I'm going to share with you, like I said, some practical tips, as well as some tips that will maybe touch you in a different way. Okay? All right, see you in just a second. Hey, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Tanya Smith here with Get Noticed with Video, and this is our Stream Like a Boss weekly live stream show. So welcome. If this is your very first time being here with us, I want you to type in hashtag newbie. If you've been here before, and I see quite a few people who have been here before with me, thank you. Michelle is an OG. If you've been here before, type in hashtag OG. Here's what I'm going to do because I just got an alert from my friend Michelle that there's a little bit of feedback on the sound. So let's fix that real quick here if we can. I made some adjustments on my audio and it may be, let's see. Okay. Let me know if you can hear me a little bit more clearly. Hopefully that's been fixed. If it's not, then I will, I'll make some adjustments. We can do that because we're in the studio. All right. I see Michelle. I see Virginia, Marcia. If either of you can let me know if you're also getting feedback on the sound, then I'll make sure to get that corrected very quickly. Sound is better now. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate, this is why I love my family online, my Stream Like a Boss community. This is why I love y'all, because you always help me out. Okay. Yep, it's a little bit better. Okay, I don't know. There's something going on with the settings, but it's all good. We will make it work. So let me do this. I want to, and there's Tanya. Good to see you, ma'am. All my OGs in the house. So look, If you've been here before and you've heard us on Stream Like a Boss before, then I want you to definitely give me a shout out and just type in hashtag OG, whether you're coming from LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever you're coming from, Facebook, Twitter, definitely put an OG. And if you are new, this is your first time, type in hashtag newbie so I can acknowledge you and tell you how much I do appreciate you being here. I'm going to answer questions too. So if you do have questions as we go about our production and as we talk for the evening, then definitely put your questions and your comments into the chat. Michelle, I'm going to try to tweak this a little bit more and see if there's something else we can do to fix that little tinny sound. Because usually we have really strong sound. I'm right now using, in case you don't know, because I like to try to share with you some of the things that I use for equipment purposes. And frankly, tonight, since we're going to talk about creating the right environment, audio is one of those things I'm going to talk about. So I want to make sure my audio is clear. I'm actually using something called Rode. It's a Rode Connect mic. This is a USB condenser microphone, and we could talk a little bit more about that later. But one of the things that I have going on is I have turned on a couple of different, I don't know what that word is, so I'll have to find that out. I'm looking at chat and kind of maneuvering here. One of the things that I've done is switched out. I've changed up my sound and my audio a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit about why when we get into that phase. But here's what I want to do first. This is what I have to do after I acknowledge each and every one of you that's here and let you know how much I appreciate you being here. I got to dive into the content. Before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to those of you who are in my Stream Bosses community. So Stream Bosses Academy, that is. I want to say hello and give you a shout out because we did a restream tutorial. We did training twice this week, and I am just so thrilled at what you were able to accomplish. Some of you I see have already started using it, which is awesome because that is my current platform of choice. Using Restream right now, as a matter of fact, to stream this broadcast. Okay, so let's talk about content. So here's the thing. This is what we want to talk about tonight. We want to, she said, I add a little bass. It must be something going on with the sound, but Michelle, I'm not going to play too much with it because I want to make sure that I go ahead and give everyone full attention on this content. So I'm going to do that, and we can fix the sound issue later if there is one. Here's the thing, that this is what we're doing. We're going to focus on creating environment. And one of the things that I want to mention to you about environment is that we have to, there's a couple of things. Okay. So I'm going to start with a personal story, and I'm going to give you that spiritual side of things that I mentioned I would do. But then I will also do something else. I'm going to also share with you a little bit of the practical side. So I have 4 practical tips that I'm going to give you, but I need to start first with my own personal story. I am going to do something really quick here that hopefully won't affect any issues. There we go. So hopefully that will help us. I switched it to something called CRISP, KRISP, in case any of you are wondering. So let me know if you are still able to hear or if there are issues. I'm watching for that. But I want to dive into this, and I really do want you to hear my heart on this and hear what I'm saying to you. Because there are situations in life, and I think all of us, you can relate to this. Most of you may not be my age quite yet, but most of you are mature enough to know what I'm about to, or to understand what I'm about to say. When I say this, I'm going to say it based on my own personal experience, and that is there have been themes that have run and trends and stories that have completely transformed who I am as a person. So I want you to think about this for you. There are themes, there are stories, there are repetitive, recurring things that have happened in your life, probably, if you've reached a certain age, that will tell you a tale. And that will be, you'll recognize them eventually as lessons learned and things that you can apply to your situation and things that you can apply to your growth. You can see them and you say, you know what, I went through this and this is a part of my story. So, what I'm going to share with you is my own personal story as of 2021, something that happened that was a major breakthrough. And as I started looking back a couple years back, I realized that it had happened before and it had happened before that too, right? So when you start seeing, when you think about your life and you start imagining that there are, not even imagining, but remembering and recalling different things that have happened in your life and you start seeing trends, if you write those down or if you speak to them, you speak them into a microphone, you record them on in a diary or a journal, you probably will find that there were some repetitive themes and something beautiful came out of you understanding and realizing that they were themes. For me, the theme is and was that anytime I need to make a major change or have a breakthrough, anytime I've had a major breakthrough, it's as a result of me changing my space. It's as a result of me intentionally and on purpose creating a sacred space that was not there before or maybe was in a different form. And I'm going to share with you for real, like how this happened, okay? So I actually have some pictures and a short video I'm going to share with you, but let me pull up my shared screen so I can make sure that you have this because I want you to kind of follow along with me on this. And it's really kind of an interesting little thing that happened. All right, so this right here, this little image that you see was actually a workout room. It's a bedroom. And you can kind of see it. I may need to blow it up a little bit more. So let me do it full screen. Okay. So this is an extra or a spare bedroom that we have in our home. And I'm going to give you a little background about this spare bedroom. This bedroom, we used it, as you can kind of see, as a miniature workout room. But even before I took this picture, and I really should have taken I should have taken a picture before and then after, right? Because this is really like phase 2. But phase 1, what happened is we've been in this house for 20 years, right? We had been using this room as a spare guest bedroom, but really hadn't had a lot of company that stayed in that room because most of the time they stay in one of the girls' rooms because they have nicer beds and all this other stuff, right? But we had this mattress and this box spring set, and every time I would be ready to move it out of this room that you see, my husband would be like, "No, because we might have guests." Okay. So we left it. So eventually, what ends up happening in this room, and you can't see it now because at this point I've moved it out, but I had this big mattress and box springs and a bunch of other just stuff all in this room. So you can imagine there was not really any workout getting done in here. Because what happens is, and let me show you another image or view of the room. This is another view of the room, so you can kind of see where the treadmill is, right? You can see again that there's these weights and other things that are in here in this space. It's just, and this again, by the way, is before it is fully decorated and before we've made it over. But it's after I've moved out all the junk. When all the junk was in there for so many years, I was not working out because I'd walk in that room and be like, okay, girls, you got soccer shoes in here and there's a bunch of soccer balls on the floor and there's clothes hanging and there's socks over here. And I would walk right back out. I'd walk in and I'd walk out. But I kept saying, I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out. Right? So beginning of 2021, I end up finally saying, okay, I'm going to make sure that I get this workout done. Still didn't happen. Months later, I made a decision. I'm moving those box springs and mattresses out of here. I'm moving all these shoes and soccer things. So this image that you see right here is in the phase 2 where I've moved that stuff out. Now, let me show you phase 3, and I'm going to do this really quick 20-second video. I promise you it's really short, but I want to show you the transformation that took place, not only in the space around me, but also the transformation that took place for me. And there's a message here in this, and I'm going to share it with you in just a second. But let me play the little short clip here. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me share with you why I'm showing you this, because I wanted you to really get a clear image of the difference from when you say you're going to do something and you say you're going to be something, yet you have not cleaned up and organized the chaos that's going on around you. When you're in this space where you know in your heart and in your head that this is something I want to do and I'm committed to doing, but you have yet to create the space to do it, it just is less likely to happen. And I'm going to beyond this show you something else. So let me stop sharing my screen for just a second, but then I'm going to switch it to another image because I want to show you this. And for those of you who have been around here for a minute and you've seen me transition from one space into the next, you'll recognize this scene too. This was another situation. This was a couple of years ago when I first decided I'm going to start doing more live streams on a weekly basis. And here's what happened. So right here, let me present this little slide. This slide is a slide that showed me transforming the room and creating the studio where you see me broadcasting in this moment, right? So what happened was it used to be a little teeny tiny space. It's a corner of our upstairs family room where we had a bunch of old CDs and DVDs and all kinds of other stuff. And I was just trying to make do, right? And eventually, I ended up changing this whole space out and creating something that gave me more motivation to actually do what I said I was going to do. Why am I sharing this with you? Why am I giving you all of this and saying, hey, look at this, look at these transformations? Let me tell you why. Because I honestly believe if you are in the state of mind right now where you keep telling yourself you're going to do something, the same thing that happened for me could potentially happen for you. It may happen differently and it may show up in a different way. But my point being that the environment does matter. The space that you create around yourself does matter. What you feed yourself with, what you consume, is what you put out. So when you consume chaos and drama and nonsense and craziness, what you're going to put out is all of those things instead of the thing you say you want. I'm sharing this with you because I don't know, it was a message that was just on my heart about a week and a half ago. And I felt like I really needed to say this, but I want to give it to you in conjunction with some practical tips around how to set the stage to do more consistent live streaming video. And not only to do more consistent live streaming video, but also to create this environment where you feel like motivated and you feel like, you know what? I am the star that I believe that I truly am. I can perform. I can speak. I can stand up and say the message and share the message that I know is meant to transform other people's lives. I can do all these things. Yes, and I got to put this up. I'm 59. I'm moving in December. And for the first time in my life, I will live alone. It's going to open up a whole new world. Yes, Tanya, I love that you shared that. I love it because look, when you change the space, you're more likely to create for yourself.
space to grow and to just blossom. And I keep on seeing this over and over and over again. There's other times that this has happened in my life as well. I won't take up the whole time sharing that with you because I do want to get you some practical tips too. It's good to see you, Marie, but I want to make sure that you understand and you hear my heart on this. If you're finding that there's something that you've committed to do and you're not doing it, I want you to consider, how can I change the space? How can I change my environment to support me in my goal? It does not mean you have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment, right? I think it cost me maybe $150 to create the studio that you see right now. I think that when I did the workout room, it cost me maybe a couple hundred, if or less than that, to do just simple things. So I'm going to give you these four simple things I want you to think about. And I absolutely see some questions in here, so I'll be addressing those as well. But I want to get to this content first and make sure that those of you who are here for setting the stage, you get the practical tips as well. So I've given you just kind of a little bit of my own personal story, and I hope that in some way you were able to identify with that and to think about where you might be able to create spiritually an environment for yourself. And I am going to dive into one of the tips that I have from a practical standpoint is part of that as well. So the first tip that I want to share with you, when you're thinking about creating an environment to do more live stream video, and we're going to specifically talk about home because many of us are actually broadcasting from our homes. Some of you may be broadcasting from an actual studio. But when you're thinking about broadcasting from your home, you need to select the room. So I'm going to type in here because I did not pre-type these. But here's tip number one. Tip number one is select a room in your home. Okay, and I'm going to give you some ideas about the best way to do that. So choose your room, choose where you're going to be doing this. Now, for me, I decided to choose my family room because hardly anybody at the time, everybody was home. All four of us were like roaming through the house, but most of us, nobody else was really hanging out in the family room because we all spent our time together downstairs. So I found a place that was a little bit more isolated, because I knew I was going to be doing video and I didn't want distractions and noises and all those things. So think about, as you're choosing your room, where can you choose a space in your home, your apartment, your condo, wherever you stay, wherever you're going to be doing these videos consistently. Choose a space where you are going to minimize the disruptions and the potential distractions. Choose also, as you're thinking about the room and the space, you want to have a space that has fairly good lighting if possible. Not a room that's completely full of windows, but maybe there's some windows with some natural lighting, depending on what time of day you're going to be doing your video. You also want to pick a space that does not have a lot of hard surfaces like wood floors, right? Glass tabletops, lots of windows, because what that can do is it can create issues with your sound, your acoustics. So you want to try to choose a space where you're going to minimize distractions, where you have carpeted floor probably, where you are able to really kind of surround yourself with the walls instead of having the walls too far out. Now, I had to kind of correct that in the space where I am because I do have a lot of open spaces that could potentially cause echoes. And so one of the things that I have to do, and one thing I mentioned to you earlier, is I use an app, a software called Crisp, KRISP. I use that because it helps me with creating a better audio feel. Even if I have some of the echoes and things going on, it reduces that. Now, even if you don't have that software, what I want you to do is to check the platform that you're using, whether it's StreamYard or Restream or something else. Check it and see, because there are probably going to be some audio settings that you can kind of play around with. And that's probably what messed up my audio settings for this particular broadcast earlier, is I was messing around with those. There's an audio suppression option, an echo reduction option. There's all these things. So you'll want to kind of test that out before you start doing your regular lives. Even Zoom has that. So it'll give you an option to turn on original sound or to turn off original sound. There's a lot of different things that are available to us now for free as part of and included with our different live streaming platforms. So you want to test that out and experiment based on the room that you've chosen to see what gives you the best benefit. So that's tip number one, is to choose your room. I'm going to be checking to see if I see some questions about this. Yes, you got that crisp tip from me years ago. I know. I first started using it when I had issues with my air conditioner. It had broken down and then it was making really bad noise when they fixed it, and I could not do my videos. And finally, I got Crisp. They were just coming out with this new software, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. It was amazing, and it reduced all the extra noise, and nobody could hear the AC anymore. Of course, that's long been fixed, which is great. But choosing your room is tip number one. Now, here's practical tip number two. You want to, and I'll type this in, tip two, find great lighting or make great lighting happen. So remember, I mentioned you don't want a whole lot of windows surrounding you, and part of that is because of the whole the reverberations of your sound, and as you're speaking off of those windows, it creates potential issues with your audio, and it can disrupt your audio. But it's great if you have one or two really nice windows, because natural lighting really shows off your face a lot better if you're doing streams in the daytime. It can really give you this natural glow, and it can really just take care of any potential shadows if you position yourself correctly. But the thing is, if you're like me and you go live in the evening, none of that's going to matter because the sun is not out anyway. So you need to then figure out, well, what am I going to do with lighting? And one of the things that you absolutely can do is you want to find even fully diffused lighting that is hitting the front of your face. Why? Because the point of you doing these live streams where you're on camera is for people to see and hear you. So you don't want to distract from the message by them focusing on something else that's in your background, right? Instead, you want them to really firmly focus on you speaking, getting to know who you are and what you're saying and what you're talking about. So most of your lighting, if you're setting up that room that we talked about that you chose, is going to be, it's either going to be like kind of at an angle and up and above you, sort of like this. I'm trying to give you kind of some ideas if I can, like this, right? So if you have those shadow boxes, I used to have really huge shadow boxes. That's how I would angle it, is kind of in front of you, but a little bit over, like higher, and then sitting down at an angle like this on your face. Okay. Now, if you are using a ring light, which I know a lot of us have ring lights, I have a ring light too. I hardly ever use it now for a couple of reasons. One, because I think that it's too bright for the space that I'm creating, right? I need a little bit more of a subtlety, and the temperature on my light did not go down far enough, so I hardly ever use a ring light. What I'm about to do is to invest in key lights. But what I'm using at this moment are actually two clip-on lights that are super inexpensive. If you want to know where to find some of the best lights, absolutely go check out my Amazon space. I'm an influencer over on Amazon, and I do reviews. I'm going to be doing more consistent reviews here on Saturdays as we come up to the holidays. But you can go check out my Amazon store at streamlikeaboss.shop, and you'll get some ideas on best lighting, best green screens, best cameras, all of those things. But right now I'm just using a couple clip-on lights because I'm in the process of trying to decide which of the key lights I want to purchase. I think I'm going to buy the Elgato Key light, not the air. The air sits on your desk and does not have a clip. And I like things to clip onto my desk so that they're on the edge and not taking up my writing space. I like to have a really clean space around me. So as we're talking about environment, let me share why. I'm gonna give you some of the mental with this, right? The reason why I like that clean and clear space is because I really want to have a clear mind and a clear spirit when I get on camera. Like I want to only focus on you and focus on what I'm going to be talking about. So I don't want a bunch of clutter and distraction on my desktop, and that includes all of my gear. So most of my lights and all kinds of other things, even my monitors, are clipped onto the side of the desk, either with an arm, as they call them, and you'll see this in my store, or they are clipped on with an actual clip-on that comes with the device. So right now, I'm using those just in preparation to make a decision about where I want to spend my budget for key lights. So I'll probably get the Key Light Pro, the Elgato Key Light Pro, although I did find some budget, and we'll see what Black Friday brings. I did find some budget key lights. The thing I think, though, I read about those, though, is that they don't give you the most consistent lighting. And I want something that's going to be consistent, and you'll want this too, where it's going to last you for a good amount of time. It's going to cover the space that you need, right? So your entire studio, but mostly you, unless you're focusing on creating stuff and then you want it to also cover that, things you're creating. Um, I'm trying to decide, and what I'll probably do is an Amazon live stream just on lighting. So maybe we'll put together one coming up here. Okay. So find great lighting, whether it's natural light from a window or however subtle you want to have your lighting or however bright you want to have your lighting. You're going to need to experiment a little bit and see what works best for your space. Because if you think about it, if you have a smaller space, it's going to require less lighting possibilities. If you have a larger space and you need to cover more area, then you may want to be looking at a different type of light or multiple lights. So there are definitely some things to make decisions about, but for me, creating more of a softer tone that kind of goes with the color scheme that I have was important. Some of you are going to have white backgrounds or cream colored backgrounds and that type of thing. So you're going to be wanting to make sure that your lighting complements that. And not only that, let me say this for my sister girls, my girls of color, my women of color. For us, and this is something I realized a while back when I first started doing streaming, we want to be careful when we use our webcams, especially if you're using like a Logitech that has an auto white balance. What was happening is it was turning my skin color green. Like I had a faint greenish tint to it because white balance was on automatic. Once I turned that off and manually adjusted the balance, it was so much better. And I had a much clearer, more realistic skin tone. So that's something that you're going to want to play with that too from an environmental standpoint is you're creating not only this space where you feel comfortable and you feel good, but you also look your best on camera. Okay, tip number 3. Let me give you tip 3. Tip 3 is good acoustics, and we've already kind of said that, but I'm going to type it in here anyway because we want to make sure that you have good acoustics, good sound. So when you're creating your environment, you want to be looking for ways to ensure that your mic sounds nice. Who remembers that? I know some of you remember who sang that, who did that rap. Okay, but anyway, so you want your mic to sound good. People are going to want to pay attention to how you sound, sometimes even before they look at you, right? If they're looking at your video and your video sounds or looks great, but you sound horrible, they may turn it off. So you do want to pay attention to the sound. Even if you're not doing audio podcasting and you're just doing video, sound is going to be important. Now, one thing that I've messed up on, and I actually did this recently, and I'm going to give you this tip. If you are like me, I have teeny tiny ears. I don't know if anybody can see my ears, right? I got teeny ears. So it kind of bothers me to wear the little headphones. And let me see, I'm going to show you a pair I have. Okay. So the best headphones I've found for people with teeny tiny ears, and I'm going to give you the reason why you need something like this. The best headphones I have are these behind the ear headphones. So they go behind the ear and then they plug into your ear, and people can't hardly see them if you have the clear version. So look, this is how it goes, like this, right? And usually I'll have it behind me so nobody can see that I have them on, right? But I still, just because I've got these teeny tiny ears and anything going in my ear really just bugs me, I hardly ever wear them. Now, if you're live streaming and that's an issue for you too, the reason for headphones is because it helps you to do a couple of things. One is it helps to prevent echoing. Two is if you are playing a video, and this happened to me last week or maybe the week before, if you're playing a video and you also, and I probably did it just a little bit ago and didn't think about this. But if you're playing a video for your audience and you also have your microphone on and you haven't muted it, what happens is they get double the sound because you don't have your headphones on. You're listening, they're hearing what you hear, but they're hearing it twice because you're feeding the sound through to them on the video, but then you're also feeding it to them through your microphone. So that is something to watch for. And that's one of the reasons why headphones can help you. But also, if you're interviewing other people, the same thing can happen where you have that whole stereo thing going on and you think everything is fine while you're doing the recording. But then later on, you're like, oh man, I can hear that person twice. So headphones, some type of earbuds, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people do use them for live streaming, is to prevent audio issues like what I just mentioned. So I know I got to get better at using them. I haven't been doing it consistently, but acoustics do matter. If you're looking to invest in different microphones, I have done a couple of videos on microphones in the past, but right now I'm using a Rode. I can't really show it. Yeah, because it's positioned a certain way right now. But I'm using a Rode USB mic. It's a condenser mic, but it's a USB, so it just plugs right into my laptop. In the past, I have used, and I used this successfully for a very long time, my handy dandy Yeti. This is the ultimate Yeti, right? This is my favorite. It's still my favorite. She's beautiful, but she is huge. And I was starting to have some issues with her. So I ended up going to the Rode because I wanted to experiment for that and a couple of other reasons. I won't pull it out, but you can kind of get the feel, the gist of it, right? But what if you're not ready to spend hundreds of dollars on a microphone? That's okay. The easiest and the best way is to you can use your own laptop, but typically that's not going to work out really well. You can use a lavalier mic that you can literally purchase on Amazon for under $10. Most of them are under 20, but I've seen some literally for under $10. And it's just a microphone that you can connect to your lapel. You can feed it under your shirt and just attach it to your undergarments, and people can hear you very well. You can also connect that type of lavalier or lapel mic as well to your phone. So if you're broadcasting and doing live streams from your phone, it's a really easy way to do that. Let me check and see if I have questions on any of what we're talking about. Yes, and somebody knew who I was talking about. My mic sounds nice. Salt and pepper. I need to give away some gift surprises. Yes, and so Marie had the same issue, starting to say my audio is bad. My Yeti is 6+ years old. I know. I don't use a lavalier because I prefer the USB condenser. Usually it sounds good, but it's just because I messed with my settings earlier that it probably sounds a little weird to you this evening, if it does sound a little weird to you this evening. And I should have tested that before I went live, but I didn't have time tonight. So we'll do it next time. Okay, so here's the last number 4 is my practical tip number 4, and the last one that I'm going to share with you. And this ties into what we were talking about a little earlier, and that is, let me type it in for you. Tip number 4. What do you think I'm going to say? Some of you will know what I'm about to say because I say it all the time. And it does matter as it relates to your environment, right? And creating an environment that matters to you, creating an environment where you feel empowered, where you feel like you're organized and you're ready to be at your best. And that is surround yourself with empowering sights and smells. So, as I was showing you my little workout room, I don't know if you picked up on it, but there were a couple of things that are symbols for me, and they always have been symbols for me. When you see my Wonder Woman stuff, it's not just about, oh, it's such a fad to have Wonder Woman collections. It's about the fact that that is a memory for me. Her character is a memory for me as a child, that I was still powerful, that I still, even in spite of all the things that were going on around me, that there were possibilities. I've always been a truth seeker. I've always been reminded of my integrity. I've always been reminded of being real and being transparent and authentic and all of those things. And so symbols like the things that you see around me in this space, even, there are also things in front of me that you can't see that are of a similar nature. In my workout room, I had a beautiful poster of Wonder Woman, an African American Wonder Woman, with certain scriptures that are near and dear to me, that I memorize and I carry with me, right? There are things that I put intentionally in my spaces in order to make sure that I am reminded at all times of who I am. So, as you think about creating your own sacred spaces and you create the environment for yourself, and you decide you're going to do more video and you want to do it more consistently, and you're committed to doing this for yourself and for other people that are in your audience, I want you to really imagine, what kind of things could I surround myself with that remind me of how wonderful and how amazing I truly am? What are things that can remind you that you are the amazing human being that you really, really are? If there are sights and sounds and smells that you can put in that space, by all means, do it. And usually it's not going to be super expensive to do so. Literally, these are trinkets and things that I've collected over time, right? I keep my scent. I'm gonna pop it up real quick here. This is one of the scents that I use. I don't know if you can really see it. It's called Fruity Hoops. This is candle wax melt. I have a wax melt, and I have candles that have this scent because it reminds me of growing up and being in my grandmother's home and eating Fruit Loop cereal before I would go get on the bus to go to school. Just things that remind you and that make you feel calm and that make you feel powerful and that make you feel like the person who you truly want to present yourself to be on camera. I believe in that. And that's one of the reasons I could not let you go without telling you that that is one of the secrets to creating an environment where you're going to be more consistent and more likely to do video content. So I want to do a quick recap, and then I'm going to go through the chat and see what questions have come up so I can answer those, and then we will wrap. Number 1 was select a room. So choose a room in your home that has minimal distractions. There's no way to get rid of every distraction and sound and noise and disruption, right? But try your best to choose a space that will give you that leeway. Number 2 is to find great lighting, whether it's a natural lighting window or it's a space where you're able to put those clips, those key lights, etc. If it's a space that allows you to do that and to get good coverage of your face, then great. Number 3, tip 3 is good acoustics. So make sure your sound is great or as best as it possibly can be, whatever that may sound like for you. Yes, I realize I'm saying this, and at this time I need to apparently fix my sound tonight, but I'll get that corrected before we go live next week. And tip number 4 is surround yourself with empowering sights and smells, things that remind you of who you truly are. When you're at your best, who are you? What are you about? What reminds you that you are the human being, the amazing person that you know you truly are? So that when you present yourself on camera, you're at your top of your game. All right. So I'm going to go back through and see if I see some questions. I think I did see some back here. I know Marie had a question. So let me pull that up. Um, okay. So here's Marie's question. You got LinkedIn Live for your personal account, have been going live weekly on Facebook and company page. Do I move to a personal page? So I'm assuming you're asking, do you move to a Facebook personal page? Should you broadcast on your Facebook personal page as well? It's really up to you. I will tell you that here's what I realized because for a long time, Marie, I was going live on all of my business pages, plus my personal profile, plus like everything. Any place I could possibly be, I was going live on. At some point, I realized that I might have been splitting my audience a little bit. So I made a slight adjustment, and I'm still testing that, to be honest with you, to see if this works. One of the things that I do now, instead of telling, for instance, StreamYard or Restream or whatever platform of the day I'm using, is instead of telling it to broadcast to all of those places, especially specific to Facebook, what I tell it to do now is, yes, I want you to go live in my group. Yeah, because my group is my home, right? My community, the Stream Like a Boss people. So broadcast in there for sure. Broadcast on my Facebook business page because I want the metrics that are on the business page. I also want people to be interested in joining the group, and they can do all of that from the business page. But now, instead of specifically telling it to also broadcast into my personal profile, what I'm doing is just before I go live on the business page, I go to the business page post and I share that post over to my personal profile. There's a couple of reasons why I'm experimenting with that. The main reason is that I didn't want to split the audience, because now if people are watching on my personal profile, they're really watching the business page because it's the shared link. So I get those metrics, I get those watch numbers, I believe. I'm checking and testing that. Instead of them being split out and only showing this number. So instead of just 5 people showing on the business page, now I've also added the other 3 or 4 people that are on the personal profile so that I get the count for that, right? So I love the opportunity to be able to share with people in my personal profile, because I know a lot of people from a lot of different experiences, from military, from family. We both have large families, friends that we've met as we've moved all around the world. And Preston, is still around the world right now. So I want to give people who are in my personal space the opportunity to actually be able to consume this same content, because I know some of them are interested in doing more video, even if they haven't made the leap from a business standpoint yet. So you got to think about a couple of things. One, is my message still going to resonate in all those spaces? Two, am I actually splitting off my audience without meaning to? And is there a way for me to stop that from happening so that I can get all the, actual metrics of the people who are watching my business post? You want to think about all of those things and be strategic about your decisions. And you're going to have to, much like me, experiment a little bit with it. But I would not tell you not to do it. I can't see a disadvantage to doing it. I think you should try and see what happens. Okay. Yes. Miss Pat, I just love you. She said, I started using my favorite aromatherapy candle. I love it. It really makes a difference. Yeah, some of us are scent focused. I am very much a smell girl. Like,
I have this like super, it's one of my superpowers is I can smell things from a mile away. It drives my family nuts. They're like, "How did you smell that? You're like in a whole different room in the house." Yes, but it's horrible. But because I am a smell girl, because I love scents, that is something that impacts me. Lavender, lemon, these certain scents just give me a different type of mood. So I'm very conscientious about that. If you're not a person who cares too much about scents, then candles may not matter to you. Wax melts may not matter to you. But what does matter to you? You have to ask yourself that question and put those things into your sacred space that you're creating. All right, looking at some more questions. Okay, so Marie said, how should I move from a LinkedIn personal page, move to the LinkedIn personal page from my LinkedIn company page? So you were asking about LinkedIn specifically. So here's the thing about that. For me and Marie, I'm going to speak from my own experience because that's what I can speak from, but I'm going to share with you. You may want to test this out because it's probably going to be different for you. I'm not an avid LinkedIn user. And so, therefore, I typically use my personal page, my personal profile on LinkedIn for just about everything. My company page doesn't get enough traction, and I don't have very many numbers there. And frankly, I haven't been on purpose about posting there. But I think that you have. Now, if you got permission, if you got authority to be able to post on your personal profile, you probably, when you did the application, applied from your profile versus your company page. And if that's the case, it's okay. One of the things that you have the option, I believe, of being able to do is when you post on your personal profile, what I keep seeing when I post something on LinkedIn personal, it says, "Hey, do you want to post this in the company page too?" So you may be able to um, do that and see if you can get traction in both spaces. But you're going to, again, have to experiment a little bit with that. We can talk offline because I know you're in the academy. So if you're coming to next week's training, let's talk a little bit more and let me get more context behind what you're trying to do and we can look at your actual space. Okay, let's see. Another question. Andre asked, what platform do you use to stream from? Currently, I am using Restream. And I just taught 2 webinars this week on how to stream with Restream. I love StreamYard as well, Andre, but I think that Restream for me right now is the thing. It's what I'm using for the moment because I like a lot of the technical capabilities of it. I like the clarity of the video. I think that StreamYard also now, well, it does give you 1080p. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can probably see the full effect of the 1080p HD. Whereas if you're on Facebook, you're only going to see up to 720 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I think I like the consistency and the stability of my Restream, as well as the fact that they have a lot of built-in features, such as a lot of different countdown timers and other graphics and things that I didn't have to go out and invest in. They were just part of the subscription. And they have more opportunities for me to broadcast in multiple places without having to upgrade my plan. Although I did see when we were teaching this week that now they have limited more of the lower plan options in Restream to have fewer broadcast spaces. So you'll have to look into that. But that is the platform of choice for me right now is Restream. If I had a Mac computer, I have to be honest, I probably would be testing out Ecamm Live. So Marie, on your LinkedIn situation, 30,000 followers on LinkedIn for personal, 8,000 for company LinkedIn. I think right there, that would be my answer. I think I would probably try broadcasting for sure. If you've got the approval for the personal page, which I think I read that about you, I think I would stick with broadcasting directly from the personal page since that's where you have your approval anyway. Get the maximum eyes on it there, but then also share your broadcast link into your company page if that's possible. So you'll have to test that out. But I believe if you can share the link over there, because I'm going to tell you what my shortcut was before I ever got approved for LinkedIn. I would just slap my YouTube link into a LinkedIn post and be like, hey, I'm going live on YouTube. Check it out. Because when I was it showed up as live in LinkedIn anyway. And I my YouTube views. So I think there's workarounds that we can work with. Yeah, I would try that. Okay. Andre said, "You're great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Am I using a virtual background? No, no. Actually, that's what I was talking about tonight. This is my wall. This is my stuff. I don't want to touch my little Wonder Woman girl because I really invested in that Wonder Woman. Let me see if I can show you. This is really cool. Like, this is awesome. I'm going to try not to tear her up. Okay. But you can kind of see. This is Wonder Woman. She has the features and everything. Look how cool it is. This is one of my really, really proud moments of investing in a Wonder Woman action figure that has like really cool features. Let me see if you can really see her. Let's see. You can't see her that good right there. And I've got her lasso in the way. But anyway, I get excited about things that I'm passionate about, just like you. There's something that you're really passionate about. You need to surround yourself with that. What makes you smile? What makes you giddy inside? Put yourself in that spot. Create that around you so that you get really excited when you do your videos. So no, it is not a virtual background. Pat says you love Ecamm Live. First, I got to fall in love with Mac, and I'm a Windows PC girl right now, ma'am. Yes, look at Restream for streaming to more places. There's a lot of benefits that we talked about in the training this week. So because you're in Stream Bosses Academy, Marie, make sure you take a look at the Restream tutorial because I've added that under your bonus courses. You have access to that for free as part of your membership. The webcam I am using, and then I'm about to wrap here in a few minutes because we would have been on for almost an hour, which is fine. I enjoy it, but I want to respect your time too. The webcam I'm using right now is a Sony, and I'm using a Sony A6400. But I also have my handy dandy Logitech webcam. My Logitech C922 Pro has been a friend of mine for many, many years. It's what I started with. I just plugged it into my laptop and I went. And I could use it for green screen and I could use it in Zoom. And it survived all these years with me. I've been through the Logitech series. A lot of people like the Logitech Brio. It's Brio. Logitech Brio has, from what I understand, some really good clarity. I don't know if it's as good as a DSLR camera like the Sony or the Canon. I used to use a Canon T600, I think it was. Maybe it was T6100. I think it was a T6i. That's what it was. Canon T6i. And then I moved on because I gave that to my husband so he could take shots where he is in Asia, get a lot of really good photos to send back home. So that is what I use. My contact information, the best way to reach me, Andre, is if you have any reason to connect, one of the best ways to do so is to go to streamlikeaboss.tv, and it has all my social media platforms where you can connect with me and get in touch. And it also has, here, I'll put it up here. It also has links to my website so that you can actually connect there as well and find out more about us and what we do. So definitely get connected, streamlikeaboss.tv. You'll find out lots of information there. All right, let me see what other questions. You're so welcome. I'm so glad. I'm glad I got a chance to get connected with all of you and to talk a little bit about this whole sacred space thing. It is so much fun. Look, I have to pop this up, Phyllis, because I love what you're saying. And thank you so much for the compliment. I'm not ready for streaming yet, but I'm getting more comfortable with videos and going live. Why is this important? Because Phyllis is saying what a lot of you are feeling right now, that you're watching these videos, you're watching me come on consistently every week, almost every exact week. I try to, right? You're watching me push through and grow on camera. And I hope that this is inspiring you in some way that you too can do the same. I'm a big old introvert. Being on video was one of the last things I thought I would do. Let me be honest with you. But I realized that it is such a wonderful space to get to know other people, to build community, to share what I know, right? And to speak from the heart and to be genuine and to actually help other people to be uplifted. So I found that to be a space for me, and it may or may not be right for you. But what I encourage you to do is just keep coming back. Stay in touch. Get connected. Get into our Facebook group at Stream Like a Boss on Facebook and join us there free and hang out and be in our office hours and just be in the ambiance. Even if you're not quite ready yet, here I'll pop that up. Even if you're not quite ready yet, because at least you will learn and you will eventually adopt the confidence and the courage to do more of putting your toe in the water until you're fully immersed in the water and you're doing video regularly like Pat and others who are in this community and you're like, wow, this is awesome. Yes, still building community and you have more confidence, and that is wonderful to hear. That's what I want to know. I want to know that that's happening for each and every one of you, and I love it. I do. All right, folks, it's top of the hour. I can't believe we were on for an hour, but I really appreciate you being here with me. Thank you so much. If you do have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to reach out. Streamlikeaboss.tv has a little miniature page that has all my contact information. So wherever you most prefer to connect, you'll see the contact there. And I, as always, enjoy sharing tips with you to help you to stand out, to serve more people, and to sell more of your services. So I will see you next week, and I'll actually be on time. And Michelle, I'll actually have my audio fixed. But we'll be on next week at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, by the way, that this coming Sunday, for those of you who have the time change thing, we fall back. So remember, you fall back and gain an hour back in your night or day. Okay, take care, and I will see you next week in the stream.